The following production is brought to you by the Talkin' Buds Leaf Show.
Talkin' Buds Leaf Show post-game edition. I've been pretty transparent with you and the people at home about post-game shows are not my favorite. I don't love doing post-game shows. I'll tell you, man, I can get behind a 2 p.m. start and then a post-game show after that. I could get behind earlier starts in general.
What is it about the post-game show? Is it just the time?
I think I just never feel as though I'm at my best when it's like a 7:30 start and we're getting on here at like 10 o'clock at night. I just don't think I've had time to like collect myself. When you watch the game, I'm like super immersed in the game and what I'm watching, and it's just like I'm always better when we do like the weekend shows where I've had a night to sort of sleep on it and then get up in the morning and really think about what I want to say. I just feel like I do a better job.
Yeah, it kind of fries your brain. And there's things you miss. So, like, just looking at all the stuff that comes out on Twitter or looking at the stats over again, you formulate better opinions.
You do formulate better opinions.
You're going Took today, too.
I'm going Took. It's the Christmas season.
We got the storm of the century.
We got the storm of the century on the way.
Yeah.
We just watched the next gen game. You
Here.
Okay,
Let me just say this. I had no idea that today's game was the next gen game.
Why?
I had no idea.
Why?
Because they didn't mention it on the broadcast.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
I had no idea.
They didn't talk enough about how many great memories.
I didn't know there were any kids in there.
You were taking umbrage with the black uniforms, though.
Yeah, you look at them, like they post them on Instagram and you look at the picture of them, and you're like, these are nice jerseys. It's kind of interesting take. A black Leaf jersey, black and blue, good, but that wide angle shot, the white outline with the black colored number inside of it, don't love it. Don't love it. They need to make that number blue or white.
It's hard to like tell who it is. Like obviously there's certain guys who you know who it is just the second you look at them.
But the amount of times I was like, is that Jordy Ben?
Yeah.
He was the number one guy. I was just like, is that Jordy? I don't even know.
The one thing I do like about them is how massive the Maple Leaf is.
Yeah, I think it's just
huge.
they got to change the number. They got to make the not just the outline white, but the whole number white or the number blue.
I made a couple notes of things that you mentioned while we were watching the game together. And the first thing I want to say that I want to bring up, actually, that I want you to elaborate on is you said changing the lines has been a revelation. Can you elaborate on that, please?
I think that I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to pinpoint.
You're talking about putting Nylander with Matthews.
When you used to put Matthews with Nylander, it was almost like Nylander kind of held Matthews back a bit, and that's why there was always that need for him to play with Marner. But that's not the case anymore. Like you could put anybody with William Nylander right now, and they're gonna get instantly better. And the pace he plays at, the like how hard he attacks now in the O-zone. Just before, I used to get nervous with those two guys together because I always thought Matthews kind of slacked a little bit, but that's not the case anymore. They have been unbelievable in the past 2 games. At that line, those two together with Bunting, they're disgusting. And now it's just, I don't even think about Marner and Matthews anymore.
Well, we've long been proponents of that. Marner is better for Tavares.
I mean, I think it changes. Like at some point, it might go back to the way it was because something happens. But I just think, as we've said all season, the play of William Nylander has just changed everything.
It's Christmas. It's not yet Christmas, but it's the Christmas break, and he's got 20 goals. This guy could very, very well have a 40-goal season.
It's not even about this. Like the stats are unbelievable, but it's just the eye test. The guy's just passing the eye test with flying colors. I don't need to look at analytics or his statistics to know he's having the best season of his career so far because you can just see it. You can just watch it. Everything about his game is 100 times better. And it's just that, to me, he's not like a weak, not that he was a weak link. He was always a skilled guy, but this guy can drive a line now. Like, he's that damn good.
You watch them, and it's like the Philadelphia Flyers are a bad hockey team. Let's call a spade, but they did what they're supposed to do against a bad hockey team. The Flyers made a nice push at the end, but there's no disputing who the better hockey team is when you're watching that.
Yeah. Beat up on crappy teams equals success.
Where would you rank the 4-1 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning in terms of like best wins this core group has ever had? I'd put it at or near the top personally.
I think there's a little bit of recency bias there, but it was nice for them to, even though the third period just had me extremely nervous and having serious flashbacks of them just not being able to step on the throat and get that extra goal to feel comfortable. But to me, it's just look at the shot total. Like, that just, how many times have the Leafs been outshot by a bunch, but they somehow eke out a game? It's nice to see
your
them.
Earlier point, the Matthews Nylander line had more shots than the entire Tampa Bay Lightning team.
And that was another positive of that game. Just that line decided they were going to go out and be the best line on the ice for both teams. And that was just a huge difference. It's up there. I mean, every year it changed. Like last year, I'm sure they had a big win at some point. It changes every year. But so far this season, especially with the foreshadowing of what's going to happen in April when these two teams play again, massive win.
Another thing you brought up, which I thought was really interesting, Mike Bunting. Big game against the Tampa Bay Lightning, gets into it with a linesman, and then scores another goal today against the Flyers. And sort of the point you were making was, you don't think, like, what's going to happen with him in the offseason?
I'm going against what I've been saying the past couple of weeks here, where I don't want to talk contracts, but I can't help it but just wonder about his situation because of Zach Hyman and Ilya Mikheyev and guys like that who've had to move on for bigger contracts. I just think he kind of fits into a different like situation, those two other guys, because he's just, his whole career right now is just being able to keep up with top players on this hockey team. And it's just like, obviously he's not going to get paid what he's getting paid right now. He's going to need a raise, but is he going to price himself out of the best situation he could possibly be in his career?
So you're basically saying, like, if when Kenny Holland lines up and gives him $9 million, you don't think that he's, like, if you're him, you're signing, like, it's interesting, right? Because if you're him, you're probably signing a contract. Some team, like, if some team knocks on Mike Bunting's door and says, here's $3 million, okay? He's probably signing that knowing, like, I'm going to a team where I'm not going to get the opportunity that I'm getting in Toronto. So if you're him, or you're like, well, I'm taking the money and I'm taking the $3 million because it's like, this is my one chance to sign like a big contract in my career. Or you're like, maybe I'll sign here for 1.5 and have a chance to stay with an Austin Matthews. It's interesting, right? Like, if you're Mike Bunting, I'm taking Austin Matthews out for dinner. And I'm going, what are you doing? Because if you're going to sign here, it's like Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Like, if you're going to sign here long term, I'll take less to stay here and be your winger. But if you're going to go play for the LA Kings, I'll let Kenny Holland pay me whatever stupid amount of money he wants to pay me.
I mean, I think other general managers see at this point that if you're going to sign Mike Bunting, his reputation now is, number one, he's a pest. He's always in the play, which is very attractive. Number two is he's shown he can play with elite players. But I mean, say he goes to another team and he plays with those team's best players, and maybe it's just not the same chemistry. I just feel like he's a Scarborough guy. I know that sometimes we put too much weight into that, but I don't see him doing the Hyman thing. I think Hyman was a little bit different, a different player, different style of player. I think it's going to be interesting to see Like, I just don't think he'll find a better situation than what he's in right now. And it's not going to be, it's going to come to a point where he's going to have to sign for less to stay here than he would get from another hockey team and maybe go to a worse situation for him. I don't know. We'll see what his priority is, but I have a feeling he might be different. I hope so, because I love the guy.
So you're hoping that because he's a Scarborough guy.
I don't want to be that. I don't want to be the hometown guy. I know. I don't. It's not hometown discount. It's just his situation is just so like special. Like I feel like if he went anywhere else in the NHL before coming here, like it just wouldn't have worked out the way it's worked out. Like if you leave this team, like I just feel like your career's never going to be the same.
Well, you also made an interesting point that like if you go somewhere and you put him as like a third liner.
Oh, he's irrelevant.
Yeah, he's not. He won't have the same impact.
If he's shown for 2 years that no matter what, he's going to stay with those guys. He might get bumped down for a game, but he's proved that he could stay up there. But say he goes to another team and he doesn't have the chemistry he has with Austin Matthews, and he gets bumped down to a smaller role because he's not contributing offensively. To me, like Zach Hyman on a third line, like that guy works hard enough and does enough where I think he could like drive a third line on his own with just his forechecking and skating ability. But you put Mike Bunting down on a third line with a couple other guys who aren't that skilled or are more defensive minded, I think he's just gonna get lost in the mix.
So basically, what you're saying is, it's either potentially take less than you're offered from other teams to stay and play with elite hockey players here, or take the money and run. Yeah, basically.
I mean, at the end of the day, you can only make as much money as you can in your career, but it's pretty fun playing with Austin Matthews and William Nylander right now, where for the past 2 games, you've looked like the best line they've had all year.
Talk to me. You kind of touched on him a little bit last episode when you referred to him as the baby goat, but talk to me about your favorite Toronto Maple Leaf.
You're just peppering me with questions today.
I am. I decided that today I'm going to interview you. That's how this episode is going to go.
Yeah, and then I listened back to myself, and I'm like, you gotta shut up, man.
No, it's fine, man. You firemen's carried me through the last episode.
Yeah.
I had a few too many drinks the night before.
You were hungover.
And you just picked me up and put me on your shoulder and went on like a 9-minute rant about the 5-forward power play, and you just carried me through it.
Which was I got mixed reaction on that.
But you know what though? Like those people.
Yeah.
Hey, people on TikTok, relax. Like, God. Oh, it's almost like they're missing Morgan Riley. It's almost like it's like, yes, that's what we're saying, dummies.
Yeah.
Anyways, talk to me about David Kampf. You love David Kampf.
David Kampf came in as a defensive forward, and he's been on brand.
He's so good at it.
Yeah, he's on brand for that. Like he's the defensive third line center you want. But I think I'm noticing him like better in the ozone. Like that's where I just feel like we've been talking about confidence a lot this season. That's another guy, perfect example of confidence. Just every single game, it's like he's getting more confident with the puck. He was always confident without the puck, but it just seems like with the puck and forechecking, he's just taking his game to a whole nother level. He's another guy too. That's another guy you're gonna have to. He fits right into that Mike Bunting conversation.
Well,
of expiring
third line,
contracts,
man, like that third line. Like you and I have had a lot of fun at Alex Kerfoot's expense, but that third line that's a nice third line that those three have come together and they've gelled and they've got chemistry. Now, as you and I like to point out, no one on that line can finish.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. No, listen, if all you're gonna do is we're gonna stick you out against the other team's top line and you're gonna score the occasional goal, I'm okay with that.
And like what they're doing right now is just they have the puck in the offensive zone. Like that's all you can really ask. Just have possession. That's good enough for me. Yeah. You're gonna have to chip in eventually, especially when the playoffs come around. But like in Tampa, like they had the puck in the other team's end the whole night. Even though nothing was that dangerous, but they had the puck. That's all you can ask.
Watching John Cooper after that Tampa game is like
I missed it. What did he do? What did he say?
He just goes, "Don't come to Toronto 3 days before the game." Like I have respect for John Cooper as a guy and as a coach, but John Cooper gives me Babcock vibes. Like which is kind of ironic because he was going to be the one who was going to coach the Olympic team before they shut it down last year. He gives me some Babcock, but John Cooper, there's no one who John Cooper loves more than John Cooper. He's his own biggest fan. He reminds me so much of Babcock.
I think his
regard.
PR is a little bit better than Babcock's.
Oh, no. His self-awareness is better.
But at the same time, he's in Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Throw him as the head coach of this team and see what happens to his ego.
I was listening to Overdrive earlier this week, and they posed a question that I'm stealing that, and we're going to have this exact conversation on the Talking Buds Leaf show. Would you rather play the Boston Bruins in the first round or the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round?
Ugh.
I've got my answer. You want me to go first?
Yeah, I do.
I'm taking the Tampa Bay Lightning all day, and I'll tell you why. I've spoke a few times on this show about how this team, even though they've looked really good this season, and I do feel like as sort of a core, they've turned a corner, I still think that once they get into the playoffs, their psyche is fragile. And I think going in against the Lightning, who they are, they've played well against them 2 times already so far this season, and I think that'll be enough to sort of pump them up and get them pumped up and ready to play. I think them going in as like an underdog is exactly what this team needs. And I think they could get up for that. They could be like, we had this team. It's like McKee said last week. There was paper thin. We had this team on the ropes last year. We can do this. Whereas I'm talking about this team's fragile psyche, okay? I want no part of TD Garden.
Yeah. I
Like,
think that's the nail on the head. As you were talking, that's the number one thing going through my head.
3-0, and then they make it 3-2. Oh.
Yeah.
And they do
I
that
agree.
shot where they pan down the bench, and every guy on the bench just looks absolutely terrified. And you've got the rabid Boston fans just giving it to them. Whereas like in Tampa, it's like, who cares? These people live in Florida. They don't give that much of a shit. Let's be honest.
I think the better question is which one would be sweeter? Like which one?
Well, the Bruins would definitely be sweeter, but I don't care. I'll take Tampa. Actually,
I don't know. Tampa's creeping up there, man. Like when they play each other, there's definitely some energy going on. But I think I agree with you. I think TD Garden Arena is the deciding factor in this argument.
I'm not even in the arena. I'm at home watching.
Yeah, you can feel it.
I'm intimidated by TD Garden.
Yeah.
And like I said, they're so fragile. This team is so fragile that I don't want to send them into TD Garden. I don't want to do it.
No,
I think I'd rather send them into Amalie Arena where they played well, where they had them. They had them in Game 6 last year, where I think that. And I just think that as a team, they could get up for that, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. I think that's going to happen, to be honest with you. I don't really see a scenario where...
The Bruins don't lose.
No, they haven't lost in regulation at TD Garden Arena all season. So there you go. That's ridiculous.
Like, how many playoff, awful memories do you have of them playing well and then the Bruins scoring and then they're playing that song in the arena and all the Boston fans are just going, like the rabid Boston sports fans are just going nuts.
Yeah, it eats you up. It eats you up.
I know. At the beginning of COVID, you and I did the watch along of the third period in 2013. I know it's a completely different team, but it's like, yeah, that building is intimidating, man.
Yeah, but what sucks is like they've also had their opportunities at home too, like against other teams in the playoffs, and it's just like no matter where they play, like that's the worst place. But it's just no matter where they play, they always find a way to blow it.
Rasmus Sanding goes on IR. I wonder, like, they're being pretty vague about the details. Like the other day, they said it was a neck injury. I wonder if this is just because they're going on the Christmas break. Maybe this gives them some cap flexibility. I don't know. But you know what's so funny is I'm not really, like, you hear about another defenseman getting hurt today and, like, you don't really freak out.
No, I think Riley's on the ice now. Like I think he's got skates on. He's probably on the ice right now, so he's got to be coming back pretty soon.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried. Yeah, I'm not worried about like unless Austin Matthews gets seriously injured or Nylander or like I'm not too worried about anybody else, to be honest. Like they'll fight through it. They'll get through it. They've proved it all. That's one thing they've proved this year is they can fight through some losses in the lineup. So I mean, I'm not too worried about it.
Last thing we're going to be a bit of a short one today.
Actually, no, I take that back. The only thing I'm worried about is the player. And I'm worried that maybe Rasmus Sandin was on such a roll that I don't want him to get derailed in his progress.
He's also shown to be a bit injury prone.
Yeah, that's that. I mean,
young career.
Thinking about what I just said, that's kind of what came to my head after was I don't want him to get derailed by injuries. It's the worst when guys start gaining some traction in the lineup and start get that confidence we speak about. And now he's injured and has to kind of fight his way back.
Last question. Like I said, going to be a bit shorter today. We're at the Christmas break. This has been a pretty damn good 2.5, 3-ish months of the season for this. This is as good as you could have hoped for.
Yeah. Can't hope for any better.
Yeah, and the main takeaway, I feel like a broken record. We've talked about this a lot, but the main takeaway for me is how great the goaltending has been, the commitment to team defense, and William Nylander being incredible from the set. Like, obviously, not to take away from Marner's point streak or Matthews or anything like that, but William Nylander being fantastic from the word go this year.
Yeah. I mean, just look at their record. Like, they're having no matter how they got there, they're here with this record, and they're right back in the mix, right where they should be. And the goaltending, yeah, you're right. You've hit it all. You've hit it all. There's nothing else. All
right. Well, we're going to get out of here. We're going to go enjoy our holiday season. If you celebrate, happy holidays to you.
I think the Leafs are happy to be on holidays.
There was that first, you and I were joking watching the first period today that
yeah, those first couple shifts.
Yeah, some of them were just like, they're ready. Like Austin Matthews has got an 8:30 bird to Scottsdale he's got to get on.
Yeah.
He's out of here.
I don't blame him.
Yeah,
I don't blame any of those guys for feeling that way.
He's literally like, he's getting out of the shower. He's throwing his clothes on. Yeah. He's getting in a car. He's going to Pearson, and he's got a private bird to Scottsdale.
I don't
for
care
the weekend.
how much money you make. If you put yourself in one of those guys' shoes today, I'd be feeling the exact same way. Just let this game be over so I can enjoy the next couple days.
Once again, everybody, have a great holiday season. We really appreciate you checking us out and watching the video. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you have subscribed, thank you so much. We're going to be back after Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they need to do, Ryan?
Spread the word to everybody, not just the friends.
You can give someone a free Christmas present by just writing down our YouTube URL on a piece of paper and putting it in their stock.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost you anything.
Spread the word, not to your friends, but to your family.
To your family, yeah. You know what? When you're opening presents in the morning, why don't you just throw on an episode of Talking Buds Leaf Show in the background? Show your cousins and your parents who haven't yet heard of us or watched us.
Yeah, and hopefully they're not one of the people coming after us on TikTok.
Oh, my God. Oh, dummies. Enjoy the holidays, everybody. We'll see you next week.